Hi. So tonight's rabbit hole, I'm just going to go ahead and unload a bunch of information on you guys, as I generally do. So please do refer to the links in the description box, because there will be many. But I'm going to try to make this short anyway. So first thing, you may or may not have heard that the FBI agent who is leading the investigation now for the Las Vegas shooting is in fact the son-in-law of John Podesta. Now, why is it that whenever there is death and destruction, Hillary Clinton is at an arm's length away? You can't make this stuff up. So yeah, his daughter, this is the pedo Podesta, and his daughter, yeah, her husband. Just gonna read you the highlights of this one here, and there are lots of links in the description box to back up this story and confirm what this was. But you know, if that wasn't enough, the story, FBI Las Vegas, we have a tweet, you gotta love the Twitter. To be able to bring comfort and peace to this community, said FBI Las Vegas Special Agent in Charge, Aaron Rouse. And who is Aaron Rouse? Well, let's see. Aaron Rouse is the husband of Megan, who is the daughter of Podesta. Now, if you follow the last video that I did, I also go on to show how there are kind of random and bizarre links with like 2 to 3 degrees of separation between the shooter, Mr. Paddock, and other very prominent people like the former senator for California, for example, who is directly linked to Podesta again, and who is directly linked to Comey, and how Paddock is directly linked to Lockheed Martin. So, you know, the puppet string news, I like how they put their spin on it. Yep. So basically 59 people have died, and of course they're at a country concert where it's to be known of mostly Trump supporters, if you're going to pigeonhole people. So they say no way you can deny on why there is a major cover-up in the Las Vegas massacre at the Mandalay Bay, and why it's was targeted as a country music concert, and how Hillary's fingerprints are basically all over it now. And it's true. I've seen the, you know, non-mainstream media talking about like, well, where the hell are all the cameras? You know, Mandalay Bay, thousands of security cameras everywhere, and we have these stories, these conjecture about shots through a door. We don't even have one photo of gunshots through any door. It's just, it's almost like a 5-year-old would ask these questions. In addition to this interesting news that makes it just stink to high heaven, we also have, you have to couple that with Soros. Always Soros. Soros has always got his fingers in something, right? Always has to have his fingers in something. So, links in the description box. Here we have George Soros, who had, of course, made money on this massacre. Link in the description box to explain what it is. Basically, you know, people buy stocks, they can sell short, they're called puts, and 60 days beforehand he made transactions that would have made him millions. So you kind of have to wonder, like, how long this has been going on. Now, before you say, well, you know, that's George Soros, and he doesn't have anything to do with Podesta. I mean, just nothing. You can't just link those together, Anna. I mean, they just don't have anything to do with each other. Let's take a look. I always like to go on Wikileaks whenever I start doing these little rabbit hole features. So, went on Wikileaks, and what do I find? Well, let's see. Memo to George and Jonathan Soros from Podesta, 27th of September 2007. You have long established ties between Clinton and Soros. If anybody ever questioned it, or if you just thought that perhaps it wasn't true, let me just take you through this for a second. All the way back in the 2008 elections, they were trying to go ahead and do the same exact thing that they did do on the 2016 elections. And that is, you know, going to George Soros for money. Money. Isn't it? How are these people not in jail? Soros is murderer, wanted, you know. Look at this man. Look at this man. So let's see. What does Podesta say? And this isn't the only one, mind you. I'm just going to read you the highlights because I don't want to take, you know, 4 hours to do this. But in order to win next year, we must do a better job of controlling the public dialogue and overall framework of the election. So you see, this isn't anything new. This wasn't new with Trump. Trump could have really been anybody. It hurt them that he was not part of the establishment. And I know, you know, I'm not really trying to go on this, new tirade that Trump's not part of the establishment or whatever, but I'm just presenting the facts as they come out. You know, you can discern them for yourself. We suggest that you keep in mind the following strategic goals as we try to develop a framework for the electoral activity of 2008. So you're talking about an established, they just follow the same itinerary. Create the conditions for a tidal wave against the GOP. You know, yep. Keep, and there will be a link in the description box for this particular Wikileaks, where you can go in and then you can just download the attachment. And I know that CNN told you that it was illegal. I recommend you don't listen to anything CNN says. Okay, so keep the president's numbers down and brand all conservative candidates as Bush Republicans. You know, negative, right. Now just remember, it's not as though he's talking to his own constituents about this. They're going and asking for big money from people like George Soros, who is known to just destabilize economies, international law crimes. Exploit the particular weaknesses of the Republican presidential nominee. See, it didn't matter that it was Trump. It could have been anyone. This will not happen organically. It will require sustained pressure and a willingness to play politics. And that they did. Control the political discourse. Now remember, this is dated in 08. So we have a lot of time to work on a lot of the plans that they have set out here, right? Okay, so we're going to utilize these networks to drive the content of politics through a strong echo chamber and message delivery system. I'm just giving you the highlights, guys. I mean, this is all good stuff to know. This is all good stuff because it paints a picture of exactly the type of people that are in the DNC, who are really in the deep state, who are still with their hands in everything running the fucking country. Okay? You have Podesta. I'm just trying to stay focused. Okay, so we have this. I talk a lot about the voters. Direct voter contact registration mobilization. It's detailed planning in targeted states to register, contact, persuade, and motivate voters in sufficient numbers to elect progressive office holders. You can't even say it any other way except for saying we're going to go out there and we're going to basically illegally obtain votes. I mean, could have pretty much just said it this way. Controlling the dialogue, messaging, and media. Imagine that. I find it just laughable that, Hillary would come out there and say the media's against her. Yeah, lots of good stuff there. Ideas are popping up all over about how to organize this effort. How do you do that? Well, you create a multi-purpose outside war room, perhaps modeled on Americans against escalation in Iraq. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They're just throwing out whatever fucking sounds good. Whatever they think sounds good that people will just cling on to and say, yeah, that's good. This is to drive strategic campaigns and paid media in both traditional and new media through an organization that would drive research media and online activities through the cycle. And we're talking big money, $128 million for this one. Mr. Soros, Daddy deep pockets. We need some money. Rob McKay and Anna Berger envision using this new 527 model. Now I have to go in and I did a little bit of rabbit hole researching into this, but there is just so much, I am not trying to throw everything out there, because while it is all interconnected, and it is all interconnected, it is important to kind of narrow our scope, because it seems like it's impossible to tie in the Vegas shooter, right, to Soros and Podesta. But I am just merely showing you that when you go down this rabbit hole, these creatures are in there. Okay, they're in there and they're working in there. Then we have this First Tuesday group. It's a group of Hollywood talent. And they kept it up. And they've been nurturing this for, 8 years. So let's see. Let's go on to our other one. And there are so many, but for time's sake, let's go on to the other one. This was just another one. Let's see. We had to follow up on this. See, October 30th, 2007. 10 years ago. Almost, just shy of a couple weeks. 10 years ago. To George and Jonathan Soros from Podesta, writing as a private citizen. The thing is, these aren't stupid people. They are. They kind of remind me of my dog sometimes, They're so smart, but sometimes they're just stupid, It's how could these people just fuck up certain things so royally, but know enough to just do all this all the time, get away with this crazy shit. So let's see, combined fundraising, messaging, and mobilization plan. And they are actively working with George. Actively. So whenever you can read through this, again, link in the description box, go to the Wikileaks and read it for yourself. It's the reinforcement of creating conditions that are against the GOP, driving the president's numbers down, branding them as, candidates that would lack any sort of competency to run an office, exploit weaknesses of the Republican presidential nominee. You see, it doesn't even matter who it would have been. It doesn't matter who. When you look at the details like this, I understand, and I agree on a lot of levels, that there's no difference between a D and an R. And that is true. But that you cannot conflate with not having oppositional parties running against each other. Because there are. There is opposition within government. They're not all on the same team. But you can't tell who's on whose team just by the D or the R. Basically that's the point there. So, messaging campaign to define the Republican presidential nominee around the issues of character traits and deny the Republican Party the opportunity to present itself and its candidates as agents of change. Talks a lot about the communications, boldly define the Republican nominee as soon as he emerges from the primaries in a way that will get the attention of the media and impact the whole tone of the 2008 race. You might as well just put the 2016 race, because that's exactly what they did. He did all the footwork back then. Didn't even have to really do that much now. Just pulled up those plans and kept on trucking. Didn't work, though. Maybe Podesta needed to work on it a little bit. Maybe he was too busy eating pizza. So let's see. Advance the progressive worldview. Keywords, terminology. Create a robust echo chamber. I like that word. Another key term. There are lots of them. This is a good one. Developing the media nerve center. The media nerve center to align messaging across TV, radio, print, internet, single-use and advocacy organizations, progressive media, surrogates, and new media. This media nerve center would be connected to the mobilization campaign and eventually become part of the permanent progressive infrastructure to last beyond the 2008 election, might as well say 2016 election. And they did. They kept that up. They kept that up and they've worked on it. Conduct extensive public opinion researching and media testing. This is collusion, guys. Okay, so when you talk about collusion, and then there's collusion with the Russians too in here, as far as funds go and where Clinton got money. This 527 is actually really interesting. I wonder how much money of the 527, the newly created 527, described below, will provide the funds for all these state mobilization plans and will move resources as needed. I wonder how much of that money went into the Clinton Foundation. How much turned over? Why isn't there a fucking investigation on that? Here we have money coming in, for blood money. And you're going to tell me that the Clinton Foundation's just like, oh, that just went away. That just went away. I want to hold Trump's feet to the fire and say, what the fuck are you going to do about this? I mean, who the fuck is investigating this? Well, this can't just go away. They put it out there for everyone to see. 527. Oh, how about the control board of directors and all this other stuff? Yeah, great stuff there. Love WikiLeaks, although take it for what it's worth. I feel it's compromised. There is data that you can no longer get on the WikiLeaks that I know you could get last year, and that's just the way that is. It's very easy to use. You just come up here, you put your little, I was doing searches, all words, McCain, Soros, and you never know what you're going to find. I always find something. A lot of times it's not what I'm really looking for. So, pedo gay connection and the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. Yeah, I would read through this because it's basically tying in, Podesta. And the other thing is now they're changing the narrative. I don't know if this is, I like Zero Hedge. I don't know if they're doing this, how strategic this is. Maybe when I'm sure there's a formula. The formula is maybe not to have a formula, but as soon as some pertinent information starts coming out, what happens? Well, let's see. Well, we're going to tell them some truth. We're going to tell them some truth that's kind of really fucked up, Well, hey, look at this. Eat this cracker. The story changes. And here, now we come to find out that a security guard was basically shot, like 10 minutes before Paddock started firing on anyone. So what the hell is going on? How did that happen? Why are we just finding out now? People focus on that, and then all of these other things. Sometimes I think they actually throw those bones out there because they know the other shit's about to hit the fan. Like, they know this is going to come out. They throw so many things out there. People just become overwhelmed. It becomes overwhelming. Speaking of overwhelmed, yes, I am sure I have given you plenty of information to feel overwhelmed about. I will be posting all of these in the description box, and that's about it for tonight. That's our journey down the rabbit hole. I hope everyone has a good night. Alrighty, bye.